Today we continue with Luke chapter 19 verse 11 onwards. We have here now a parable of Jesus, a very important parable. So let's understand the context in which this is written. You see, last week we saw that Jesus was in Jericho and he meets Zacchaeus. So he is passing through Jericho in order to go to Jerusalem, that is his destination. So as they heard these things, he proceeded to tell a parable because he was near to Jerusalem and because they supposed that the kingdom of God was to appear immediately. Now you can see here that this is the setting. Jesus is approaching Jerusalem, and again at the end of the parable we'll see, and when he had said this, he went on ahead going up to Jerusalem. So we begin the passage with Jesus going to Jerusalem and end up saying he is going up to Jerusalem. In between we have this very important parable. Okay, so you see, when Jesus is approaching Jerusalem, his disciples are also with him, and now they are convinced that Jesus will finally be crowned King of Israel at Jerusalem, and they will all share in his glory. Therefore, Jesus tells them this parable. Okay, so let's read this parable. He said, therefore, a nobleman went into a far country to receive a kingdom and then return. Calling 10 of his servants, he gave them 10 pounds and said to them, trade with these till I come. But his citizens hated him and sent an embassy after him, saying, we do not want this man to reign over us. When he returned, having received the kingdom, he commanded these servants to whom he had given the money to be called to him, that he might know what they had gained by trading. The first came before him, saying, Lord, your pound has made 10 pounds more. And he said to him, well done, good servant. Because you have been faithful in a very little, you shall have authority over 10 cities. And the second came, saying, Lord, your pound has made 5 pounds. And he said to him, and you are to be over 5 cities. Then another came, saying, Lord, here is your pound, which I kept laid away in a napkin. For I was afraid of you, because you are a severe man. You take up what you did not lay down, and reap what you did not sow. He said to him, I will condemn you out of your own mouth, you wicked servant. You knew that I was a severe man, taking up what I did not lay down, and reaping what I did not sow. Why then did you not put my money into the bank? And at my coming I should have collected it with interest. And he said to those who stood by, take the pound from him and give it to him who has the 10 pounds. And they said to him, Lord, he has 10 pounds. I tell you that to everyone who has will more be given, but from him who has not, even what he has will be taken away. But as for these enemies of mine who did not want me to reign over them, bring them here and slay them before me. And when he had said this, he went on ahead going up to Jerusalem. So that is the context for us today. So we understand that Jesus is telling this parable to all those who are walking along with him towards Jerusalem, especially his disciples. Now he is telling them this parable because he wants them to understand that they will have to work hard to continue his mission here on earth until he comes back at his second coming, till his second coming. So the faithful and the industrious disciples will enter into the joy of the Master. So that is what Jesus expects of them. Now we have this parable which is very interesting because this is probably the only parable which is set in a framework of a historical event. Now we have the story of Archelaus, who was one of the three sons of Herod. Now Herod died in 4 BC, and the kingdom of Judea was given to this man Archelaus. Now he was the most cruel son of Herod, and this man was to be crowned king over Judea by the Romans. So he had to go to Rome to be crowned king by Augustus Caesar. Now the Jews hated him, and so they sent a delegation to Rome imploring Augustus not to make him king. But all that was in vain. Augustus appointed him king of Israel, king of Judea, and so he returns with full of revenge. And that is why when he comes back, he says, "Bring those men who opposed me, and I will slay them in front of me." So that is our setting. Now you look at this parable. In this parable we have this noble man giving a pound to each of his men. Now these servants of his are not told what to do with the money. He just says, you trade with this, do whatever you want. He doesn't give any specific instructions, but he leaves it to them, and he wants to know who will be really useful for him when he comes back, so that he can appoint them as governors and so on in various positions in various cities. And he is giving this like a test for them. And so this is also for us as Christians. God has given us all some talent, and he believes that you and I can use this, and we can trade with it, we can do whatever we want with the talents that he has given us. And so this is not only trust, but also a test for us whether we are faithful in little things or not. So you see, the first man multiplies the money and he makes 10 pounds, and the master makes him a governor over 10 cities. Similarly, the man who made 5 pounds more becomes the governor of 5 more cities. So what we understand is this: when somebody is faithful in something small, the reward for his work is more work. You see, so you're given a little task, and once you are found to be faithful in that little task, you are given a much bigger responsibility, and you have to work even harder, because it is understood that you are capable, and therefore God rewards us with more and more when he finds that we are trustworthy. Now we come to the man who had the 1 talent and kept it buried in a napkin. Now what happens? This man is lazy. He does not use the talent that was given to him. He keeps it buried in the ground, and he kind of puts the blame on the master. You see, he says, "I knew you were a strict man, you were a severe man," and so on. And so the master is very upset with him. He slanders the king as being severe, unjust, and so on. But what is the basic fact? This man is lazy. He does not use the money, the talent, the pound that is given to him. So therefore the king says, take away the talent that he has, take away the pound that he has, and give it to the one who has 10 pounds. So this is one of the inexorable laws of life. You see, all of us are given some talent, and if we don't use it, we will lose it. That is the law of life. Use it or lose it. For instance, you are playing a game. If you want to improve in the game, you have to keep practicing regularly. If you stop practicing, your skill will not develop. You see, so what happens after some time, you will not be able to play at all. Similarly, supposing you learn a new language, if you don't keep practicing this language, what will happen? After some time, you'll slowly forget all that you learnt. But if you keep on practicing, you'll become an expert in that language. So that is what we see in life. Anything that we don't develop, will go for waste. So it is only when we discipline and train our bodies, they will become more and more fit and stronger. Otherwise, they will become flabby and we will begin to lose our strength. Now, this is the law of life. That is what Jesus is saying. That is why the talent that he has is taken away from him. Now, let us understand that God has given us not only talents but also a responsibility. Jesus expects us to bear fruit all the time. Remember, Paul says we have to bear season. We have to bear fruit in season and out of season. So there is no question of us remaining idle or wasting our time or our talent. God expects us to keep on using all the gifts that he has given us. Sometimes we find very talented people, just remaining idle. We know they are talented, but they don't do anything. It's very sad. God expects us to keep on working, to keep on doing all that we can. You see, our time is limited. We don't have a time forever. So whatever little time God has given us, he expects us to keep working, to do our best every day. Every day we must remember that this is probably the last day of my life. And so we keep doing our best every day. Not postpone all the good that we want to do to an unknown future. That is not going to help us. Who knows? I may not be alive tomorrow. I may not be alive next month. So therefore today I will do my best. I will offer to God whatever I can. I will share the good news with everyone. I will bear fruit today. That should be the Christian attitude. And so when God gives us this talent, he gives us the responsibility of bearing witness for him every day. And one day we are answerable to him. And the Lord is going to bless us if we have used our talents and our time fruitfully. If we have not used it to the full, we have to answer God. And therefore let's look into ourselves and see, am I really bearing fruit every day? Am I really being like that servant who was able to multiply his pound into 10 more pounds? Or am I like that man who hid his pound inside a napkin and buried it in the ground? We all have talents, and the Lord has made us all beautiful people. Why? So that we can share his good news with others, his love with others, and all that he has given us with others, so that this world will be a better place. Let us really thank him for this gift, and let us use it industriously, let us use it wisely, and let us use it, spend it for his kingdom, so that more and more people will begin to experience his love, and we will really be people who can stand before the Master one day, where he will be able to tell us, enter into the joy of your Master. Praise God.